Everyone, please take your seats. We're about to begin.
Hello. Alrighty, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Jordan Sutcliffe. I am the business development lead at StakeWise. The talk today is going to explore our vision for liquid staking. Liquid staking on Ethereum has been around for a couple of years now, but I want to share with you what we're building at V3 and StakeWise, and ultimately where we see the liquid staking models going. And that future is ultimately modular. So as a quick background, StakeWise has been around for 2 years now. We launched on mainnet on Ethereum back in March 2021. We've got about over 85,000 ETH staked right now. During this period of time, like StakeWise originally came about because our co-founder wanted to, or our founder wanted to stake Ether, and he didn't have enough capital himself to stake on himself. So he needed a way to share capital and pool capital amongst his friends. Lo and behold, StakeWise was built as a way for anybody to access staking on Ethereum. We started off with a single node operator, StakeWise Labs, but in January 2022, we launched StakeWise V2, where we enabled third-party node operators to join in a permissioned node operator set. We then launched on Gnosis chain, and we're currently the largest liquid staking provider on Gnosis. And last year, around September, we announced the third edition of StakeWise V3. And this is where we take our permission node operator set and turn it into one that's fully permissionless and essentially unlock a completely new model for liquid staking. We announced this in September, and we've just launched our testnet this week, which is a massive milestone for us. Super excited to have something live on Gwrly, and we're hoping to ship V3 in the coming months. So what is StakeWise V3? The way I like to describe it is the foundational staking infrastructure for Ethereum. Ethereum doesn't have a native delegation service like other proof-of-stake networks do. And so essentially we've built one from the ground up. StakeWise V3 has two layers. The first layer is one we call vaults. And this is essentially, the vaults are individual staking pools, and this is where the Ether effectively gets staked directly onto the beacon chain. On top of vaults, we then have a layer which sits on top, which is layer 2, and that's where the liquid staking token comes in, OSETH. And OSETH turns the baseline ETH staking from vaults and turns it into liquid staking. Let me explore these two levels in more detail. So what are vaults? So vaults, you imagine vaults as individual staking pools. Currently, every single staking protocol out there today has a single staking pool where all the capital is mixed. StakeWise V3 moves away from that model and enables multiple staking pools all to run in parallel. Each of these pools will be fully isolated, so the risks of, say, slashing and penalties are isolated to each individual pool. These vaults or pools are fully permissionless. What does that mean? It means anybody can create their own pool, can become a node operator within the StakeWise ecosystem. You can create a pool by yourselves as a single node operator or as a group of node operators. We very much hope that operators work together, creating their own liquid staking pools within our ecosystem. These pools are non-custodial. All deposits into these pools receive a token in return. These tokens are unique to each pool. Again, the pools are isolated, so you need to have unique tokens to represent deposits into each pool. And effectively, these tokens are non-fungible with each other. Another thing to mention is that these pools are highly customizable. You can make them public, which means anybody can delegate ETH into one of these pools, or you can make them private, so only a set of whitelisted addresses can deposit into these pools. And it's the creator of the vault, the creator of the pool, who controls whether it's public or private, and ultimately controls who the stakers are. They also control who the node operators are within the pool. They can also set the fees they want to charge. It's a fully comprehensive solution for anybody who's looking to accept essentially ETH delegations and run nodes on Ethereum and on Gnosis chain. The pools are fully automated. So they accept delegations of any size. They automatically bundle the Ether into bundles of 32, automatically submit that to the beacon chain and spin up validators. They also automatically handle the fees. When an operator creates a vault in StakeWise V3, they specify the fees they want to charge for that for their service, and those fees are automatically accrued in a smart contract or to an address that is specified by the node operator. The other thing to flag as well is that you'll be familiar with permissionless node operators joining staking protocols often require collateral. Now, we are not requiring collateral in this system. Whilst it's going to be necessary, it's not a requirement. And by removing that requirement, it unlocks a lot of interesting functionality that this protocol can do, essentially. So what does it look like in practice? Well, you end up with an ecosystem where you have multiple liquid pools or staking pools all running in parallel. And we like to describe it as a marketplace. And as you can see here, we've got like Vault 1. This is the current StakeWise pool, which is live today and has been for the past 2 years. This will form the first vault within this ecosystem, and the underlying node operators will continue staking the ETH for that pool. But as you can see, you can have other pools cropping up alongside this Vault 1, and they can be of whatever flavor you can imagine, essentially. So it could be a group of solo stakers all running a DVT solution. We're working very closely with Obel and SSV to integrate their solutions. It could be a commercial grade node operator. Foundry's used as an example here. I'm sure you're very familiar with the name, a massive Bitcoin miner, years of experience in blockchain infrastructure, recently announced they're joining ETH staking recently, and it's also great to have them join us in the testnet for V3. It also could be just a single solo staker or a community of solo stakers. I'll go into some examples of V3 in more details in a short while, but you can see how you basically end up with a marketplace where there's a whole range of different staking pools that people can ultimately choose from. The next layer, OS ETH. Vaults are isolated. I mentioned they have their own tokens, and these are non-fungible with each other. And so what we're creating is a single token which sits on top of this entire ecosystem called OS ETH. It stands for over collateralized staked ETH. And it creates a single layer of fungibility within this ecosystem. The key thing to mention here is that OS ETH is over collateralized, clues in the name. The reason for that is because we need to make sure that if somebody has minted OS ETH against Vault 4, and say that Vault 4 experiences a slashing event, we want to make sure that that event is isolated and does not impact the rest of the V3 ecosystem. In order to prevent that, we have over-collateralization built into the OS ETH token to ensure that and absorb any penalties that happen throughout the ecosystem. The OS ETH is, given that it's over-collateralized, actually has inbuilt slashing protection for a subset of users, which I'll explain very shortly. But the key thing here is that OS ETH enables this effectively isolated and illiquid staking ecosystem to turn it into a liquid staking token to access DeFi. So what are the use cases for StakeWise V3? They are numerous, and I'm actually yet to speak to somebody who hasn't got a specific use case for this platform. So let's look at the most simple type of staking, everyday staking. We're very cognizant that we need to make staking as simple and as intuitive and user-friendly as possible. And so it's important that you enable people to one-click stake, essentially turning their Ether straight into a liquid staking token. And this is what will happen with StakeWise V3. Anybody can simply buy OS ETH off the secondary market. It's a repricing token, and so it's a simple buy and hold to actually earn the staking yield, and then you can simply sell that token at a later date. There is also a next layer which we can explore, which is a little bit more complex, but that is where you actually choose your specific staking pool from the StakeWise marketplace. And this is a really powerful thing, maybe you want to stake with, I don't know, solo stakers, or maybe you want to stake with an operator which is based in South America, or one which runs a certain client set. You will have the power as stakers to choose exactly who stakes your capital. It shouldn't be up to us, StakeWise DAO, to decide the node operators who run your capital. You can do that yourselves. So you can essentially take your Ether, explore the StakeWise marketplace, find an operator you like or a staking pool you like, and stake into that pool directly. You will then be able to mint OS ETH against your stake to turn it into liquid. It's also worth mentioning that this OS ETH layer is actually optional. Staking into the individual vaults is staking. You receive, like as I mentioned, a token representing your deposit into these individual staking pools. And again, these tokens are also just repricing. You can simply hold. The operators in the underlying pools are staking your capital. So at this point, you are staking. It's whether you then have the option to mint OS ETH on top of that if you actually want to start playing around in DeFi. And I know a lot of people who are currently staking with liquid staking providers who actually don't do anything with their liquid staking tokens. And so in this ecosystem, you can actually remove that layer altogether if you want to. But we're also very cognizant that liquid staking is growing in popularity, and so we want to enable people to liquid stake if they want to, and that is where OS ETH comes in. So that's like everyday staking. The next thing is solo staking. Now, the reason why we designed StakeWise V3 as we did is because we wanted to unlock more utility for solo stakers. These are the people that run infrastructure at home. They are the gold standard for decentralization in the ecosystem, but until today, they've not been able to access liquid staking. They've had to make a choice between staking on their own home node and liquid staking, i.e. accessing a liquid staking token. V3 solves this problem. A solo staker can create a pool on our platform, set themselves as the node operator, and stake their own capital onto their node. They will consequently be able to mint OS ETH against their own capital. This is a really powerful tool which we hope will encourage more people to stake from home because they can now do more with their staked capital. The other thing to mention is that because you can set pools to either be public or private, you can actually attract delegations from other people, from the public, if you create a public pool. So this means, as a solo staker, you can actually attract ETH capital and run validators for others. And you will be earning the revenues that you specified in your pool and effectively maximizing the potential of your node. There's a lot of solo stakers out there who only have the capital to maybe stake 1 or 2 validators, i.e. they've got about 32 to 64 Ether, whereas their node could actually handle potentially hundreds, maybe even thousands of validators. And so this system is a way that solo stakers can actually start maximizing the potential of their hardware. One of the big questions is how can stakers attract capital? And there are multiple methods within the V3 protocol. The first dimension is operator scoring. We will have a native scoring system which is based on various criteria, such as historical performance, how much collateral is posted, whether you contribute to client diversity, etc. And this would be a key way for people who are exploring the marketplace to decide who is a quality operator or quality staking pool to stake with. And the other thing to mention here as well, it's a bit of a nuanced use case, but again, highlighting how powerful this tool could be, and that is like staking with friends. Maybe you're a node operator and you have friends who have Ether who want to stake on your node. Currently, there's no way they can do that without actually giving you custody of their own capital. Whereas this system, your friend who's the tech expert can create the private staking pool. They can be the node operator, and you can delegate your ETH to them in a fully trustless manner, and it removes all the custody and the concerns that could come with essentially giving someone your ETH to stake for them. What else? We also have, so V3 actually acts as like a white labeled liquid staking solution. There's a lot of commercial node operators that we're in contact with who currently offer ETH staking, but currently cannot offer liquid staking. It's worth mentioning that the vaults layer alone is actually a really appealing product for a lot of these operators. Because everything is automated, it's actually a very powerful solution. It makes running a staking pool very, very simple. There's a few examples here. So I appreciate this is a complicated slide. It highlights two things. The first thing is this. Commercial node operators can create a pool within StakeWise. They can have clients stake into that pool. That node operator can continue running their normal node stack. There's no requirement from us as a platform for the operators to run a specific hardware or clients or what have you. They can run whatever staking infrastructure they would like, continue receiving ETH delegations from their clients, but because the capital has flowed through a StakeWise vault, their clients can now access the liquid staking token. And this is really powerful. Liquid staking has often received over 70% of the deposits onto the beacon chain. And the reason is because liquid staking itself is a powerful tool. And this protocol allows node operators, essentially any node operator, to set up their own liquid staking business. Another thing I wanted to flag with this slide is another very powerful tool that StakeWise V3 offers. And that is the ability to segregate capital pools based on various criteria. So the example I've chosen here is on jurisdiction. So this is, let's think of institutions who are currently based in Europe. They're regulated in Europe, but currently they do not have a way to liquid stake with European regulated custodians and node operators. StakeWise V3 will offer this. They can create, so in this case, the example is like Foundry working alongside Fanoa. Fanoa are a German regulated custodian. They can create a staking pool that's completely ring-fenced purely for European institutional capital. And this can really remove some of the key issues that institutions have with staking right now, and that is pooling capital with other entities. And obviously, they can still access the OSETH layer should they desire. Another example, again, this is just for illustrative purposes. This is not necessarily going to happen, but like, if with the regulatory space moving in the way it's moving, there might be a direction where operators want to offer staking to US retail, but again, want to do it in a way where they do not mix US retail capital with any other capital. And they can do that, again, via a specific US pool. The last example is actually one where you can remove the need for capital pooling altogether. If you're an institution, you can actually have a private pool where it's only your capital that's staked into that pool, and you can still stake with your preferred node operator and access a liquid staking token. So this is a really powerful tool. And there's a few other things to mention here. Like, there's loads of different ways we can go about this. Like, we'd love to see people set up staking pools where all the money goes towards charities or public goods funding. You know, there's also the way for DAOs to be staking their capital in a liquid fashion. Like, we'd love for DAOs to be using StakeWise V3 to stake on their own nodes. This platform will enable decentralization, and it gives people the power to stake on their own terms. And the ellipsis at the end here is because, honestly, the opportunities are pretty endless here. Every day, like, we're having discussions and people are coming up with some great ideas on how to use this protocol. And so it's a very flexible design, and we're really excited to see what people ultimately end up doing and building on top of this protocol. And that is all from me.